Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fuel for Success. This is episode 251 on a Wednesday morning, and thank you, everyone, for being here. It's so good to see you all. Uh, as you know, on Wednesdays, we talk about life coaching, motivation, relationship issues, and we've got a bunch of good questions lined up for today. I want to remind everyone that's watching live, by all means, jump in and ask questions as we're going along. Type them in the chat box, text them to us, 727-341-5599, or email Mike at mattmaddox.com. And I want to say a happy and good morning to you, my friend. I know it's bitterly cold in St. Pete, Florida, but it's good to see that you're weathering it out, my friend.
I'm roughing it, my friend, and it is today. Believe it or not, for Florida, we got a chilly morning this morning, but it's supposed to warm up and have beautiful weather the rest of the week. We endured a rainy day yesterday, which I'm grateful it's over. Enjoyed it while it was here. I'm not a rainy day fan. I'm a sunshine fan. But yeah, Mike, this is one of our favorite shows where we talk about relationships, family, life coaching, et cetera, et cetera. It's our show, so we pretty much talk about whatever we want. But how are you guys doing up there in good old Minnesota, man?
Awesome, man. This is the place to be, especially if you like cold. So I got a Snapchat from our good friend David Tainer the other day because I did something about it was 20 degrees. I was out walking because it was so unseasonably warm at 20 degrees, and he sends the thing to me. He's like, "It's 9 degrees here in Columbus." He goes, "What's up with that?" And I'm like, So this morning I had to shoot him one. I'm like, "Bro, it's -8 now, so we're back to normal."
Yes.
And shout out, of course, to our friend David Tainer. If he's watching later on the archive, and he better be.
And if he's not,
you watch this later, text me. Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, we've got some awesome.
Unfriended.
What's that?
You know how you're following somebody and then you go to look them up and all of a sudden it says add friend? Anyways, it's one of those things. It's life. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I mean, some people don't even mean to do it. I know me. People are like, "Why'd you unfriend me?" I'm like, "I didn't mean to."
Yeah. Well, sometimes you're actually literally clicking on the phone and weird stuff happens. You hit the wrong button. You don't realize that you're going through. You're flipping from one screen to the next, and strange things happen. Hey, as we're talking about social media, and our good friend Tommy Turner, who out in Virginia, Tommy asked some questions. How do you, and this is, we maybe have some experience with this. How do you respond to negative comments on social media? Or do you respond to negative comments?
Normally I don't. Nine out of 10 times I don't even respond. Yesterday I put a pretty controversial post about My Health 90 for one reason only. Sometimes, Mike, to get people moving, they've got to see a bee. You know what I mean? Like, it's the only way they're going to move is bees coming after them. The risk of being stung. And my strategy in that post last night was just to shake it up a little bit, to get people thinking. Mike, sometimes you got to make people mad. Sometimes you got to push the envelope a little bit just to shake. At the end of the day, Mike, what we're doing is very serious. But I got some negative comments on both the fan page and my personal page, and I hadn't got a chance to respond. But I will respond to that, Tommy, not in defense, but because a lot of those people that are lashing, a lot of people that when you start talking about money, it brings out every type of emotion because there's some people that are really struggling financially. But I still believe if you're dead broke, you've got to break victim thinking, poverty thinking, and excuse making and still take 100% responsibility. And I still believe anybody can afford $11 a week. You can find a way to make it happen. People have grandmothers out there that would help them. There's just ways to do it. Like I would dare anyone to come up with 21 ways to make it happen. And I guarantee you, if you got desperate enough, you could do it. So I guess that was kind of a longer answer, Tommy, but normally I just don't respond to negative comments on social media. A lot of times I'll delete them because it's my page. If I don't like the comment and I think it causes too much controversy and that's not what my page is about, I will delete the comment. And people continue to do it, I do unfriend them or block them. A lot of the reason why I don't respond, Tommy, is from the time I wake up until the time I go to bed, I stay in a good positive flow. I don't get into a lot of like arguments. I'm not an argumentative type person. I'm very persuasive and passionate. I'm passionate about what I believe. I have no problem defending what I believe or what I write or whatever. But I try not to respond. Like if something bad is written about me in a forum, Mike, it has happened many times. I can honestly tell you, I've never one time, not once, gone and read the bad that was read. If somebody says, hey, someone said something bad about, I don't even go look. If someone said, hey, someone's blasting you on their page right now, I literally don't look because I'm all about energy and focus. So usually I don't. Good question. Mike, what's your take on this?
Well, two things. First of all,
Mike,
I think
listen, I will say this. It's a blessing to have Mike in my life because he can tell you anytime I have one doubt about something I should post, Mike will tell you. I literally send a picture of him what I'm about to post and I'll say, hey, is this too much? Sometimes he'll say, yeah, don't post that. And I don't. You know, sometimes he says, yeah, post it. I'll boost it. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. But it is a blessing to have you, Mike, as a little sounding board there in those situations. I know he was about to say something good. Yeah, so he'll be back, Tommy, when he does.
Hey,
you know, he can take it away.
Yeah,
Welcome
that
back
was
to
an
the
interesting
show,
crash.
Mike.
Anyhow, so two things I would say. One is that consider the source, right? Because sometimes you'll see a negative comment from somebody and you'd be like, well, they're not a negative person and they're not really, like that. And in other cases, there's like habitual trolls, right? There's people that are just like that, and you know that they're going to post negative stuff. Those are the ones that you just delete the comment, whatever, and try to avoid. Sometimes you'll see something that kind of shocks you, like I can't believe that person, or maybe you don't know the person, But if it's somebody that doesn't normally do that, kind of consider and say, okay, now what's the situation? Maybe take them off on a private message and say, is there something I didn't understand about what I posted that offended you or whatever. The other thing is that sometimes it's very easy. Sometimes people are in a hurry and they post something and they skip like adverbs and things of that nature in their grammar, and what they post turns out not even what they intended. And so sometimes it's a total miscommunication. And so I always tend on the side of mercy and say, you know what, maybe they didn't actually mean it negatively.
Yeah.
And say, maybe there's something else they're trying to mean here that's not negative. But anyways, negative comments don't annoy me nearly as much as post hijacking. So, we can maybe cover that another time.
Pacey has to go. Well, what if you did say something out of line? How do you respond? Pacey, me and I know Mike feels the same way. I really have no problem apologizing and taking a hit. I really don't. It doesn't bother me to own stuff. If I feel like, and there's times I have blown it on posts and I've gone right on that post and either deleted it or made a comment and said, hey, I realized I was a little too tough here, because there's two sides to me. I'm naturally a motivator. So there are people that are motivated by those types of posts. Like we literally had someone sign up for My Health 90 like 5 minutes after the post because it shook them, So in other words, everyone's motivated different. So I don't know if that post was what maybe brought on the question, and it's okay if it was. But Pacey, I have no problem saying, man, I shouldn't have posted this, guys. My bad. I didn't mean it this way. Sorry if I offended you. I have no problem doing that. I really don't. If Mike called me today and said, hey, bro, I think you ought to apologize to so-and-so, I promise you on every Bible that lives on this planet, it wouldn't even bother me a bit that he said it. It wouldn't bother me a bit to go do it. And just thank God I'm to that place in life where I can say I'm sorry.
Apologies are extremely inexpensive and extremely valuable. So doesn't cost you anything, gains you the world. So there you go. Hey, interesting question. Somebody said, and we're talking as we're talking about health, and today's not our health and weight loss show, but I do want to. I almost said it. I do want to jump just a little bit to edge into this topic because it's a question that came in, and for someone who's living with a spouse or maybe other family members that and they're trying to live a healthy life, but their spouse or family members don't want to, and this sort of bridges into a relationship issue. How do you handle that? And it could even be, it's the same situation whether you're trying to get healthier or maybe you're trying to get deeper in God and more spiritual, or even maybe you're trying to be successful in an area of your life, health, relationship, finance, spiritual, or whatever, and your spouse or your family doesn't support that, doesn't want to go on the ride with you. How do you handle that?
Mike, honestly, this is a real issue, and you said it right. I get it every day in my interaction with a lot of people that, are juicing, signing up for My Health 90. One of the number one things I get in My Health 90, and I know you've gotten as well, is, hey, how do I handle that my spouse won't do this with me? Mike, I really do wish that I could sit down with every couple for 1 hour, just 1 hour, just sit down and let me talk to them, because, Mike, there are some key principles there's a scripture in the Bible, actually. You want to talk about, in my opinion, Mike, if people watch this show that are not Christians, look, whatever your belief is, we respect it. But I'm going to tell you right now, your life would get amazingly better if you started following Bible principles, because there's so much in the Bible that could impact your life in every area. One scripture says, Mike, can two walk together except they be agreed? And of course, obviously, most of this should have been handled in the dating process, engagement process. And that's why we've got a lot of screwed up marriages, because people didn't date properly and court properly. And, this is why literally now well over 60% of marriages are failing, Mike, because, it may go okay for the first year, 3 years, 5 years, but there comes a time in life where there literally is a disagreement on major values, core values. For me, health is a value. I could not date somebody that was not committed to health. I couldn't. They could be the most amazing human being on the planet. I mean, she could be Mother Teresa's twin sister, and she could look more gorgeous than Miss America. I couldn't date somebody who wasn't committed to health, because there would be a conflict. You know what I mean? So that goes for the singles out there. You've got to, Mike, they say opposites attract, and that's true. But listen, when it comes to values, when it comes to likes, when it comes to, beliefs, when it comes to habits, the more you can find somebody that you agree with, I know that's a pre-marriage, answer. To the ones that are married, sorry, I had to decline the call, whoever just called. To the ones that are married, Mike, there's no other way around it than sitting down and asking, look, we're married. We obviously disagree about this. Mike, I just don't think you can beat you win one, I win one. Like, I'll do this for you, and then you're going to want me to do something. I'll do that for you. There's got to be a give and take. You cannot have stubbornness and have successful relationships. You can't. If there's not enough respect and honor from the person you go to bed with every night, the one that you call your spouse, your wife, your husband, if you can't sit down with them in the most sincere way and ask them, say, look, I need you to do this with me. Whether it's church, whether it's exercise, whether it's something to do with financial change. Mike, I just don't why there has to be such freaking stubbornness from people, and it makes me mad. I'm like, we got ladies trying to lose up to 150 pounds, and their fat gut husbands refuse to juice with them or eat healthy or exercise. That stuff makes me mad. To me, it's like, I don't know. So the answer, the long answer, and maybe that's why our shows go long. Maybe I give too long answers, Mike. We'll talk about that. But listen, the last thing I want to say is sometimes your spouse just isn't going to join, and you've got to saddle up, and you've got to just say, okay, I'm not going to convince my wife to juice with me or my husband to juice. I'm not going to convince, so as you make his steak and baked potato, you make your salmon and broccoli, or you eat your salad, or, as he goes to McDonald's and orders 2 biscuits and he says, "What do you want, babe?" You just look at him and say, "I'm okay, honey. Stick with your water. In other words, Mike, there's just sometimes you're not going to be able to talk him into it. But look, give me your spouse's phone number. I promise I'll be very nice, smooth, cordial, but give me their number. I want to talk to your spouse. If your spouse is against help, give me their number.
I think in some cases, at the end of the day, you gotta cast the vision in front of them, and health is an easy sell to your spouse. I think anyway, because if you approach it the right way and say, look, if you're a husband, your wife doesn't want to get on the journey with you, say, look, I care about you. I want you to be with me in 30 years, right? And if you continue on the lifestyle that you're on, you're not going to be with me in 30 years, and I don't want that to happen. And when you cast that vision that way, it's pretty motivating. It's like, hey, I want you to be on the journey with me. Let's go. The part of the point of marriage is going on the adventure together. So let's go on the adventure.
Well, just ask them to do it with you for 30 days. So, can you just do this with me Monday through Friday? Or or at least can you be supportive? Look, even if they don't do it with you, which is better. Look, it's so much better if your spouse does it with you. But if you can at least talk them into being supportive with you on your journey, that's automatically 50% better.
Good. Hey,
But really, Mike, we could take the whole show and talk about this one question and give people strategies. We could give them like, okay, Mike and I are going to give you 5 ways to approach this. And maybe we'll do that later. Because, Mike, we get like 6, 7 questions come in, we want to answer them. But really, there's some questions that we could really give people a lot of value by saying, okay, well, here's 5 different ways you could approach him or her. Here's 5 different ways you could say it. A lot of times, Mike, the way you say it matters.
Right. Hey, let me jump to a new question, and this is as a motivator. You're one of the best motivators I know, and you also happen to have a teenage son now. And so let me ask you this question: How can you motivate? And your son is clearly motivated to be success driven. Anybody that follows you on social media sees that he's spending time, researching things and making himself better, reading the right books. But how can you motivate a teenager to be more success driven?
I'll give you 3 quick, simple ways. Number 1, you've got to be a positive person yourself. Remember, kids at the end of the day will only follow our examples. And most of the time when kids see when they see what you're preaching and you're teaching and you're telling them to do, it's easier for them to swallow. That's number 1. You gotta model it. You gotta model what you want to see in your kids. Number 2, Mike, is I believe that the way to motivate a teenager is by speaking a lot of encouragement and life and faith and confidence over them. Because a lot of teenagers, because they're going through puberty and changes and teenage, just being a teenager, a lot of teenagers are finding themselves, they're struggling with insecurity. Maybe they don't, they're teenagers. Teenagers are a different breed. And, Mike, they've got to hear, for every criticism, I believe a teenager needs to hear 10 to 15 positive, So a lot of times, because teenagers are teenagers, we're always correcting them. Or we're always like, tell them, no, you're not doing this, or no, or like, come on, clean your room. And it's always like, don't. And even though we have a right to do that as parents, I still think look for as much as you can to what we believe is accentuate the positive. Find what they're doing right and verbalize that. And then number 3, Mike, you got to get them watching stuff like Fuel for Success, powerful motivational videos on YouTube, and reading good books. Part of Caleb's daily routine is reading. Like, I give him a schedule every day. Part of that on his schedule is reading time, where he has to read, meaning like it's not an option. Read success books, personal growth books. Of course, he wants to, but I'm saying, in other words, it's like, it's not an option. Like, success is not an option. That would be my thing. As parents, you tell your kids they got to go to school, they got to go to church. Well, I think you should also tell them, look, like, as this family, we're committed to personal growth. To me, Mike, personal growth is a value issue. Like, personal growth is not an option. Like, personal growth is like, it's like how we ingrain brushing your teeth into our kids, how we ingrain, making sure their homework is done. Why do we want our kids to get our homework done? Because we want them to graduate, right? But there's something bigger than them graduating, because if you can motivate 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids to be readers of good books, they're going to be more successful than all the kids in their class put together. Trust me, it is a fact. It is a fact that the most successful people in life are readers. And they're readers of good books. You literally are going to become what you read and who you associate with. So you got to get them reading if you're going to keep them motivated towards success.
There's a culture that you create in your home as well as a parent that your kids pick up on. And I know, you're a motivator, you're a success-driven person, you're a personal growth, and even if you didn't require that of Caleb, he would pick up on some of that. And be like, this is just what you do. You learn, you grow, you get better at things. Here's a great example. My daughter's a teenager, and we were working out at the gym yesterday. She had her headphones on, and afterwards I'm like, so what was on your playlist? And she said, oh, I actually watched 3 TED Talks while we were working out. And so she just naturally grabbed it. And I'm like, wow. And so first of all, accentuate the positive. I'm like, you're kidding me. You watched 3 TED Talks while we were working out? And I was like, I was listening to music, but that's awesome, right? What did you learn? And engaged her on it and accentuated that. But the other thing is that, that was a choice she made. I didn't require that of her, but she wanted to learn, about these different things, the people and TED Talks are amazing. Watch every one you can get your hands on for the most part. So there's a great example of the, the culture sort of sets in on the child and they pick up on it. And then when you do see that, the behavior that you want to encourage, you accentuate it, make it a positive, make it a good experience for the kids. So there's a great example.
I agree, Mike. You're right, and you're right. Like, when we say make our kids, when they grow up around it and they see it, it becomes a part of them. You don't have to make them. Like, that perfect point of Danny. You didn't say, okay, Danny, while you work out today, I want you to watch TED Talks.
Yeah.
Like, she automatically did it. So that's what we want to see happen.
Let me jump to a question that Pacey asked. I think it's a quick answer. So, how do you speak confidence over your children when you don't necessarily have it yourself?
Well, Pacey, I did a deal in our. I did a video blog last week. I think it was the 5 ways to increase more confidence or something like that. Or I think I did something in My Health 90, 10 ways to increase confidence. So I'll give you a quick answer, because I do believe there are things some of you could get more confidence within a matter of days. Literally. There it is, Mike. I owe you. Mary said we got a get out of jail free card today for some reason. So thank you, Mary. But no, Pacey, you still got to speak it even when you don't feel it. You still got to, words are powerful. So even though you may not feel the most confidence, doesn't mean that you can't speak it over your kids. So that would be my quick advice. And we'll deal with maybe another show on how to get more confidence. Mike, maybe next Wednesday we'll dive into how to get more confidence and really make a big part of our show about it. So Pacey, still do it even if you don't feel it. There's my answer. John asks, how do we deal with a family member who for years mistreated others but doesn't seem to remember bad memory and wonders why their family doesn't call or contact them much? John, the only way through that is just to share with them if they're asking you, hey, how come so-and-so? And you say, well, I know you don't remember, but back in the day, you really hurt them and mistreated them. And, I would just share, John. I would just shoot them straight. And then maybe ask them, so, well, look, what would it hurt you to just, even if you don't remember, what would it hurt for you to say you're sorry? I would literally come out and say, you know what, take the humble road. Even if you don't remember and you don't agree, just say you're sorry and then ask them. Are you calling them? Do you contact them? Sometimes people have got to be the initiators in certain relationships. And that's why a lot of relationships never get repaired because both sides stay stubborn. Someone's got to give in from being stubborn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Mike. Ask the next question or talk on that. I got a
Okay.
knock on my door. Hold on one second.
Hey, and that's a great question, John. And I think that part of it, and he mentioned that it's a parent-child relationship. It can be a little bit difficult to approach them if it's a parent. You know, having respect and bringing that about. But I think you need to look for opportunities to sort of bring the topic up. And if you're in conversation with them, I would probably wait for them to bring it up, like, you know, why doesn't anybody call me or contact me or anything like that, and then sort of I have to use a segue into that topic. So, but again, it's a little bit tricky when it's your parent, right? So because you don't want to be disrespectful, it's difficult to, you know.
Is that me or did Mike just completely lose volume? You can hear Mike say yes or say no because that might just be me. Mike dropped off. Mike, your volume's gone, buddy. I'll be back. Let's see. Let me take a look at some of the questions that have come in here, and let's see if we got any. Well, here was one that came in today, and I'll just answer it real quick. What are 3 things that couples do that hurt their relationship? Um, Look, man, you know, one thing that I think that I've observed that couples do that hurt their relationship is they don't communicate. Communication and talking are different. It's one thing to talk, it's another thing to communicate. So I think that would be one. Number 2 is they go to bed angry. Like one of the biggest biblical principles of relationships is don't let the sun go down on your wrath. I literally believe the healthiest thing couples can do is never go to sleep angry or without communicating, even if you got to stay up late, you know. And Mike, you know,
Thanks.
welcome back. We were talking about the 3 things that couples do that hurt their relationships. So, you know, and I think the third thing is that they stop um, they stop giving 100% in trying to please, serve, and make your partner happy. Like, at what point does the 100% stop? Like, it was once there. How did it go back to 80%, 60%, 30%? Like, to me, Mike, 100% is the answer for everything. It's that we give all. Some days we can give more than others. Sometimes we might be busier than others, but the 100% effort never stops. You know, so maybe you can't take your spouse on a romantic cruise, but you can write a nice little love letter. You know, you can go take a walk, you know, give her him or her quality time. And there's so many little things that can spell 100%. But I think that's a mistake, guys, is when people stop doing that. Mike, I'm not sure what you were saying. We lost you. So you want to finish your point?
I don't know where you lost me, so I think I'm good. Plus, in my technical frustration, I probably lost my train of thought. Hannah does want to know who was at the door, though,
We're glad you're back.
and she's yelling at us in all caps.
At first, I got to be honest, I thought when I first read it, I thought it said who the hell was at the door because and who was. I really did. I really did. I got a kick out of it at first. I go, wow, Hannah's passionate about wanting to know who was here. It was just a UPS delivery, you know. I haven't even opened the box yet. It'll probably sit there 3 days. I have like this 3-day window of opening stuff for whatever reason, but we'll get to it.
That's funny. That is funny, my friend. And I like what you said on that question about serving your spouse and being as a couple to serve. And you know, that's a great mechanism. It's a great thought process. It's a great way to think about your relationship. And the thing that I'd like to tell people is, as especially as a husband, right? The word husband, right? The husbandman is the guy who tends the vineyard, right? He's the guy. My responsibility as a husband is to create an environment where my wife can flourish, right? So it's tending the garden. That's my job.
Good analogy, doctor analogy.
It's a biblical analogy. That one was an easy one. Um,
Oh, Ellen is saying that's what Hannah actually said at the office.
she just
You caught me right there, Hannah. I thought you were just flat out pulling one out on me and getting passionate because it was in all caps too. So I read it just completely. You know, you read words. That's the power of
it's
how you
true.
got to slow down. and
I'm
read.
I'm visualizing them in the office, and Ellen's like over. I don't know if they're in cubes or offices or whatever, but Ellen's over there and Hannah's over here, and she's just like, "Who's at the door?" And everybody else in the office like,
You want to know why Hannah and Ellen Ray are in such a good mood, Mike?
"How's that?"
I just caught what you said, man. Mike is actually funny. Well, I think they're in such. I know why they're in such a good mood. Both they're both
True.
in My Health 90. Of course, they're in a good mood. They're doing better than they've ever done. You know. So that's why you guys, if you guys are wondering, wow, you know, Hannah and Ellen Ray seem so happy and so full of energy. Well, it's because they're in My Health
Okay.
90.
That is scary. So Hannah says, believe it or not, it's just the two of them running an entire municipal building. So Hannah and Ellen are running a
That's actually
building.
very While they're watching our show. I love it. That's passion.
Fantastic.
Mike, let's dive into one last question and we'll let everybody go, my friend.
Great. So let me ask you this then, and see how quickly you can. I've got like a menu of questions, and we're not on any of them.
That's Mike's delay right there. Just so you know, as a talk show host, whenever you say, so let me ask you this, that's his way of like, oh my God, I got to find a
Yeah.
question.
That's like the autopilot delay tactic. That's my 8 seconds to think. So let me ask you this. What is your opinion on people who date who are of diverse ranges of ages, like somebody that's older dating a younger person, older man dating a younger lady, vice versa? Obviously, you don't want to answer this question, which is why you just dropped off the air. Or maybe we'll both drop off the air for a
If you
moment.
don't want me on the show, Mike, just tell me, man. You know what I'm saying? Just tell me I'm not welcome. You know, that's all. Tell me you're tired of working with me.
Yeah. Hey, did you hear the question? I thought you bailed on the question. I'm like, Matt was like, oh, don't answer it.
Yeah.
People who date different ages. Older guy dating younger lady, older lady dating a younger guy. Sometimes there's social
my
stigma
opinion is
on
this.
that. What is
This
your
could be
opinion?
a whole show on this one question. My opinion, Mike, is for me. You're asking my opinion on both sides, whether it's older or younger. I really, honestly, personally don't believe it matters if there's maturity. And Mike, the bottom line is there are some people, there are some ladies that like younger guys. There's some guys that like the thought of dating somebody their age is a total turnoff. They like older ladies. There's some girls, young ladies that love dating older guys and are only attracted. Like I literally have met young ladies that are deathly attracted to older men, and the thought of dating someone their old age, Mike, it's like you can't cookie cutter this subject, in my opinion. In my opinion, I believe the number one thing is maturity, and if there's maturity, there's obviously like you got to do the math. You know, if you're a 25-year-old guy and you're dating a 40-year-old lady, you got to understand that you're each going to be having a birthday. You know what I'm saying? The same year you're both having birthdays. So, you know, obviously do the math. If you're okay being 50 and she's 65, you know, fine. Like literally, you got to just think like, okay, deal with the reality of it. Like, don't just like as long as you are saying, okay, if you're, let's say there's a 15, 20-year age difference, I don't know. As long as you're okay as life progresses, that, hey, when I'm 50, he's going to be 70, as long as you're okay with that and you've really dealt with that maturely, fine. In my opinion, Mike, it's all about maturity. It's all about a person's desire and what they like. Now, there is social stigma, but is there cautionary? Sure. I mean, but at the end of the day, Mike, the only thing I would say is people that are of different ages are different unless there's maturity. I've met 40-year-old men that aren't even ready to. They're like more immature than 20-year-old men. Literally. I mean, I've met, so it's not an age.
Right. Yeah.
When they say age is a number, it is. But that's my take, So, obviously this is a very broad subject. We could dive into the pros and cons, and we should. We can talk about it. It's our show. We can dive into it again. So that's my take on it. What they say, the legal age? I mean, at the end of the day, there is a reason for legal age, So definitely, and then of course,
yeah.
That's my take, Mike. There's my 2 cents in 2 minutes. What about you?
Good. I like that. I think that what you said about different maturity levels is very apropos to this situation, and that needs to be taken into consideration. I also think, just like any other part of a relationship, if you're thinking about spending the rest of your life with someone, you need to take everything into consideration, right? There's clearly biological issues, there's future family issues, all of those things. Just take it into consideration. Say, is this going to be a good fit for me? Is it something I can live with for the rest of my life? And Al's exactly right. I'm cool with it, except for my daughter. Like, nobody's actually going to date my daughter.
So Al only shows up for the relationship questions. Are you noticing a trend here, Mike? I didn't even know Al was here. What's up, Al? Does
Al's got my back, though, right? That's right, Al. Anybody tries to date my daughter, we're taking them down. That's what I have to say.
They're officially off this show. Yeah, Mike, I think great answer. I think both of us gave a great answer. That's our beliefs, is to maturity's the answer. And then, of course, like Mike, leaders define reality. The more that you can look at things realistically and either be okay with the reality of something, but when you live in fantasy and don't deal with reality, that's when you start getting in trouble. As long as you can look at hardcore reality and accept it and deal with it, that's going to make you a more stable, grounded person. And again, that doesn't mean you can't date somebody younger or older. It doesn't mean that. As long as you're okay with the reality of that you're going to be criticized for it. Some people won't understand it. Some people won't agree with it. You're going to still be younger while he or she is older. They're not going to someone may be in their prime now, but 10 years from now, they may not be in their prime while you're in your prime. There's obviously pros and cons. So I'm all about just flat out we'll deal more with this, Mike. So this is what it is. You ready? Fuel for Success, I tell people, is a 30-minute daily talk show. But now it's turning into a 40-minute daily talk show. Are you noticing?
Yeah. Well, we're only doing 3 days a week right now. So
you know what? Now that we're doing 3 days a week, we ought to do 45-minute shows. I never thought of that. Actually. That's a good point. Less is more.
Less is more, and more is less.
So,
hey, great show. I love the answers. Are we starting 45 minutes today?
Mike, we can decide
have some clarity here.
Unless there's an unbelievable question.
Unfortunately,
that's right. You got to prepare for the coffee, right? Unless we have I knew there was some other questions, and I didn't go back up in the queue and look, but some people were asking. Unless you think there's another good question we can grab real fast, I would love to see some of our viewers' opinion on the age thing. I like to hear. Mike, you know what I enjoy? I enjoy people's opinions. Even if I don't agree, I like hearing it. I like looking at it. I like thinking, okay, I can see why you think that. It really mean that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we dialogue enough. I don't think that, because of technology, phones, social, we've lost the ability to just sit and dialogue, just talk about stuff. It's like you go to the salon and they'll be like, there's two things you don't talk about here. That's politics and religion. And I want to say why. Why, I understand that both subjects get heated, but why not? Like, why does it have to get heated? Because we've never been taught maturely to have dialogue with people that have different opinions without getting mad. Like, we should be able to express differences of opinions without it making people mad. It's someone's opinion. How can you get mad at someone's own opinion? Like, I can't get mad at Mike if he doesn't like green tea. You know? Like, it's his taste. It's his opinion. Right, Mike?
Yeah, I do like green tea, just for clarity, but
I
that's
think
it's
I
a good
think Al gave the
analogy.
analogy of the entire
Um,
talk show, and he might be right there. So I could date somebody younger. I really could because, I have no problem with it. But that's, you know, thanks, Al. Oh,
that's a good point. So those listening on the podcast, Al says staying healthy keeps you younger. For example, in Health Years, Matt is 25, so we could
yeah.
date a 20-year-old without
Health
a
wise,
problem.
by the time I'm 70,
There you go.
I'll be out doing 50-year-olds. I mean, because of my health. Juicing, my friends. The benefits of juicing we don't talk about.
That's right. And Hannah's right. I also don't dislike Matt. Actually, Matt
No, I
likes
love
coffee. He just
coffee,
doesn't drink
actually.
it that
Believe
often.
it or not, I believe
Um,
coffee is actually in
Coffee
moderation
on
good
occasion.
for you. Black coffee with some coconut oil, I
Okay.
found to be
Good organic
amazing.
coffee.
So there are moments in my life where I have some coffee in moderation. I just don't add any of the junk to it. Pacey wants an 18-year
Good.
old.
Um, Tommy's asking if 2 pots a day is moderate for coffee. I would say that's
Of
tending
course,
towards
Pacey, I
excessive,
was
Tommy.
joking. Uh, the uh, to the answer to that, Tommy, yeah, Mike is right. 2 pots a day is definitely moderate if you're used to 4 or 5 pots like Mike used to be. That's an improvement, right, Mike? Didn't you guys used to do 4?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, easily, easily. Um,
Maybe we need to, Mike. Do we have another question? Let's answer a few
been a great show, everyone. Thank you so much.
questions.
Hey, let me ask you
Yeah,
this. This is a great question for the situation. How do you save someone from
Al.
self-destructing and destroying their future or
That actually is a
reputation?
question
Yeah.
that came in. How do you save someone from self-destructing? And like Al just flat out called Pacey a cougar. How do you save Al in these moments? You just don't have to because there's no saving him. Pacey's coming after him. No, I'm just kidding. Thankfully, Pacey's got a great sense of humor, and that's all fun. How you save someone, Mike, is
Yes.
I really depends on the situation. Like if it's like someone that's really self-destructing that you care about, you got to have the hard talk. You got to literally say, I'm only saying this for your benefit. What I'm about to say is going to sting, but I'm saying it because the sting is minor compared to what's coming if you don't hear what I'm about to tell you. Like, Mike, sometimes the straight, tough talks have got to happen so you can save people. And sometimes, Mike, direct is the only way. Like, hit it head on, straight up. Like, look, man, I got to tell you, you are doing things that are literally destroying your credibility and your success and your future. And I've had people do that for me, Mike, and I've appreciated. I really have. And Mike, sometimes, like, what grabs my attention is when people bring when the analogy people use Caleb's future, or hey, just think of Caleb right now. Like immediately that like grounds me fast. So you got to find the triggers in people. You got to find a way to sell the benefit of why they should stop a certain behavior and how it's affecting their family, their friends, their job, their whatever the case may be. What about you, Mike?
Well, I think that really depending on the exact situation, because this is all over the map as far as how broad it could be. Someone self-destructing or destroying their future or reputation, right? So a lot of times I think people don't really, just bringing them an outside perspective. And of course, my nature, and of course, you and I are completely different people. And so you're like, let's hit it head on, let's confront it. And my sort of tact on that is to sort of bring it about in a more gentle fashion and say, hey, have you considered, and it kind of goes back to what I was talking about in relationship. If you can project that vision and say, and like in 5 years, look at what's going to happen if you continue down this road, and just sort of lay it out in a way that they can understand. And I like what Pacey says about getting someone's permission first, because a lot of times if you just come in and what happens if you come in and you just tell someone that they're doing it wrong, they just shut down. They don't hear a word you say. So you have to have, first of all, some credibility in their life, and second of all, if you can get their permission to speak into their life, that'll really help sort of bring the walls down. And then the way you say it has so much influence on whether it's effective or not. So those are my 2 cents.
You know what, Mike? I actually think that Pacey, that's gold what she said about can I have your permission? And I love what you just said as well. Great stuff, great content. Yeah, so whether we're doing it or not, we may turn our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday into 45-minute shows. We'll see how it ends up. Hey, thanks for joining, my friends. Thanks for watching. If these shows are a help to you, please give them to your friends, your family, your coworker, whoever. Put it out on Facebook. God bless you. You guys are awesome. We love our live audience. We also love those that watch later on the archives. Thank you for taking time to watch our talk show. And as you know, you can watch any previous episode on iTunes. You can download the podcast for free, which means 251 episodes can show up on your phone or your iPod. Or you can go to fuelforsuccess.tv and you can search for shows by category, such as health, such as just our relationship shows. Mike, there's over 50 plus relationship shows on our website. So if you want to get better relationships, watch all those shows. There's probably another 50 shows on health and business and whatnot. So is that right, Mike? At least 50.
Yeah, easily. There's over 50 of every category. So there's actually, if you sat down and watched all of our episodes right now, starting today, played them back to back,
Wow.
You wouldn't get through them all in a week. 24/7.
Wow. So
you wouldn't make it through. That's how much content there is. And thanks, so many thanks to all of our audience that ask so many great questions and interact and input and opinions, and it all means
Mike,
so much.
enjoyed being with you, my friend. Thank you guys, live audience, archive people. We love y'all. God bless. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Have an awesome Wednesday.